Well, hello, investors and traders. I'm LA Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets. We do it from a neoclassical perspective. Each time we look at these markets and ask ourselves what happened today. What does it tell us about the coming ones? We do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube. It's on our channel, LA Little. As far as what did happen today, last night we were talking about getting some sort of a bounce today. We actually had huge spill to start off the year and did get the bounce, but boy, it wasn't much to it. You got a little bit of a push up on the Russell and on the S&P 500, but outside of that, NASDAQ, NDX still dogging it. Apple's trading almost at 100 now. Highs were around 134. So Apple's taken about a 25-26% hit already, and it looks like it's going to try to smack dab, hit 100 at this point. Bonds were down, gold was up, the oil market ended up down 2.25%, going towards the lows again. Shanghai got a little bounce last night. It was trading much lower, then bounced back up. It was actually slightly down on the night. Looks like it's up a little bit tonight. As far as overseas, the DAX, the CAX, they both were down in the red. They flipped around and they closed higher. So, on the surface here, a weak bounce when you look at it that way. But, when we take a look at the charts themselves, it doesn't look quite as bad as it does from this perspective. And so, let's look at it here. So S&P 500, inside day, less volume. So really not much you can say about that. Got a decent bounce off, or an okay bounce, I should say. What you do have, though, elsewhere is you got a situation here with the NASDAQ where it has traded over and back under. So you got this over-under. Has less volume on the way back up, right? So you're going up, you go over it, you come back under it, you close under it, you got less volume. That typically means you're going to try to go back the other way. Now, if I look at this, what is it doing? I want to see how's it behaving as it comes back into something. That's really the question. And in this case, it broke this particular swing point low over here, and it immediately came back into it. So if I do an immediate retest regenerate, in other words, I'm going to try to regenerate lower, I'm also looking at the volume of what I'm coming back into. Now I have to look at the volume of what I broke as well. And so you got a little bit of a mixed signal here, but this does look like it's going to trade back down in here somewhere as a result of what happened today. So NASDAQ not positive. The NDX looks almost the same. You get over, back under, you got less volume. NDX had not broken these swing point lows. Still hasn't. 44.78. This one over here is 44.86, and you close it at 44.18. Well, actually, you did get under this one. It looks like. I thought we stayed over on 44.8609, and we closed it at 44.8418. Yeah, so that's going to turn it. That's going to turn it bearish. So that's also a negative. Russell. Now the Russell just barely hanging on to this lows here. It did get under, and you see the trend transition last night got under this price point. What I've been looking at is the weekly, and I'm looking at this big bar over here that has an 1102.58 number is kind of the key spot. And so it's this particular bar, the low of it, right? That's where all the volume is. Can you get under it and stay under it? And that's the test, and that's on a weekly time frame. So, if I'm looking at all of this together, what does it tell me? Well, it tells me we got a mixed bag. Where we don't have the mixed bag, we have no knowledge. It's like the inside day on the S&P 500. Now, if I go over to Europe, and I'm watching Europe closely because we're trading so tightly coupled with the European markets. And I take a look at the DAX, for example. The DAX gets under the low, back over it, less volume. That's doing the opposite of what we're doing. So it looks to me like what you're going to see tomorrow is you're going to see the DAX try to rise, right, and come back up here and test into this high. Now, it doesn't have to do that before we open, right? And we could open lower as a result of that. But if the DAX does flip around and start heading back up here, by the time we open, we may actually see a gap up by the time we get our markets open. So DAX going to try to come back up, going to test back a little bit higher tomorrow. If we look at the CACs, and I haven't looked at these, so let's see what these look like, and then we'll go to Asia. Here on the CACs, not as strong, but it did trade under it, and actually it's a mixed bag because it's got more volume. So in this particular case, you got one signaling, and the DAX is the one I believe the most right now. So the DAX signaling that's going to try to move up. The CACs is just along for the ride, whatever that ride may be. Let's take a look over at Hong Kong. So Hong Kong trades lower, less volume. Let me see, the low yesterday was 21,227, and we close it at underneath it. So it's still game to go out down here and try to hit that low and pull this back on a weekly, and that low over here is the 2865. So still could trade lower again tonight. And the Nikkei, where it is, there it is, Nikkei. Now the Nikkei's been struggling because they have the yen going against them. We'll take a look at the currencies here in a second. And what I mean by that is the yen's getting stronger. As the yen gets stronger, the Nikkei struggles, right? Because it actually has a inverse relationship with the currency. You depreciate the currency, you push the stock market up. Everybody and their mother knows that by now. And so you got this big ABCD structure. It's trying to take us back into this area here. And so far, that's exactly what it continues to do. Broke a swing point low, broke it, looks like with volume, 137, 132. Actually, it didn't have the volume, but it did break it. So we may see that extension just continue on down and get down into about the 18,000 mark before it's done. And finally, Shanghai, I usually don't get the volumes and haven't, but that one did trade lower back up. So another big spill in Shanghai off of New Year's Day, or actually first day of the year trading, and did trade quite a bit lower last night. Let's see what the weekly looks like. Still not back into anything yet. So nothing significant there. So overseas, Europe, DAX in particular, going to try to bounce. Our markets, you got some negativity in there. They can trade a little bit lower again tomorrow. But I really think if Europe trades up, they're going to pull us up with them. Let me look at a quick shot here at Toronto market for my friends up north. And under a swing point low. That doesn't really tell me much. It's just down here trying to test these lows again. And then my friends over in Australia. Let me see what that one looks like. And that one's just trying to come back into this big bar's top, 51.76. So nothing special there either. Let's pop over real quick here and take a look at the emerging markets and see what they look like. So if I go to the OX markets, they were trading, if you remember, they traded down and got a little weak bounce as well there. And then let's take a look at these currencies. So first of all, I'm going to pop up to Canada, see what it looks like. Canada is trying to break down again. That low is 70.90. And it's right on top of it. It's going to try to break it tomorrow. Switzerland, let's see what they look like. And Switzerland also back into the gap area. And I know that the European, the euro actually was trading into the gap, and it did. All of these are they're getting long tails on them. And this looks like an ABCD structure that just completed here. And so looks like to me that euro is actually going to try to bounce, which kind of goes against the ideal that the European markets will bounce. Let's see, gold stocks, really nothing there. They're just kind of trading flat. Let me go look at what the dollar looks like. And on the dollar, we got over the swing point high today. Don't have the volume, so it's a suspect breakout into the gap area. I don't think that's going to continue. Probably going to get some sort of a pullback there. And finally, let's look at the oil market. And here we have a trade down almost to the lows. So the lows here, 1052 on the USO. And I actually prefer the OIL. Let me go grab it. So the number there is 608, 601, 604, and you trade to 612. It looks to me like it's going to test it. If it holds here, you could potentially get a decent bounce out of there. Let's see what the bond market's doing. Just consolidating still. Really nothing there. Looks like that's gearing up for something larger a little bit farther down the road. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a bunch of mixed signals basically, and you have a big day down to start the year. The only clear signals that we have tonight, NDX, NASDAQ, NDX want to try to trade a little bit lower. The DAX wants to trade higher, and we continue to try to trade with the European markets. So my guess is tomorrow you're going to see some sort of a mixed action. And I wouldn't be surprised to see us test both sides of it tomorrow. I try to trade higher and also try to trade lower. Which way we end is not clear. It looks to me like I'd have a slight bias to the downside overall. That's it for tonight. As I look over here, I want to show you one more thing. I had pulled up using the Trading Cube scanner. I'd pulled up so that I could see what the MTTFs look like. Because, if you look at this thing, what you have on the major sectors, and these are the major ones, right? What you have here is you have bearishness across most of these. It's not very many of them bullish or sideways anymore. The ones that are sideways aren't that extended yet. The bearish ones are not that extended, of course. They just turned bearish. And so, when I look at this, it says, hey, this thing can trade lower on the short-term time frame. If I look at it on the weekly now, the weeklies are starting to get pushed out there a little bit farther, but we still can travel, we can still travel another probably 8 to 12 weeks before these get extended, I believe. And we could verify that. Let's just take one of them. Let me grab here real quick, pop into the Trading Cube, and then take so that we can drill down and look at, say, the XLP, for example. And I want to see what those MTFs look like on this particular one. And so here we got a bearishness at about 39, and if we pull the MTTF over, 39 gives us I'm trying to see how far we'd have to go. We'd have to go to about 32 bars, and we're 18 into it. So you could do 14 more. So that's about 12 bars, 12 weeks, a little 12 weeks or so. You get up into the 70. That's when it kind of gets nosebleed. 12 to 14 weeks. So when we look at those, those MTTFs where they are across most of those intermediate term time frames, they still could go another, 8, 10, 12 weeks before they get extended and need to transition. Now, if you're bearish and you transition, you have to go back to sideways. So in other words, you have to expect some sort of a bounce probably in there, somewhere between here and there. Now, it could be just a small bounce that takes you back up, or it could be something larger. So if I pull this back over now and put the XLP in there, for example, and say, okay, what does this look like in terms of a transition? It's got to get above a swing point high or below a swing point low in order to get that transition. So you'd have to get above this or below that. You can see you're still right here in the middle. And so that's the sort of thing that we'll be looking for over the next 2 to 3 months. Okay, folks, that's it for tonight, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Tell a friend, tell two, I'm LA. This is and was your daily NeoTA wrap. Have a great night. and I'll see you next time. Good night.